She didn't warn you. She just left. And now you're there, trying to understand where everything fell apart, searching for the exact moment she stopped looking at you that way. You think it happened suddenly, that she changed out of nowhere, that maybe it was someone else or just her ingratitude. But the truth no one tells you is this: women don't abandon husbands out of nowhere. They disengage gradually, in a silent and predictable sequence, while you, without realizing it, destroy with your own hands everything that made her choose you. And the worst part? You were probably trying to be a good husband when you did it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why women always abandon their husbands, the 7 fatal patterns you're repeating right now, and the exact protocol to reverse this process before it's too late, or to ensure it never happens to you again. If you want to understand the real mechanics behind female abandonment and regain control of your romantic life, stay with me until the end. Because what I'm going to deliver here isn't internet theory. It's the complete anatomy of a shipwreck that you yourself commanded. You grew up hearing that, to keep a woman happy, you just needed to be attentive, present, affectionate, to do everything for her. That the secret was to avoid conflicts, give in during arguments, always put her first. That love is sacrifice. And you bought into it. You became the dedicated husband, the guy who drops everything to be home, who says yes to everything, who forgets his friends, his hobbies, his dreams. You became what society calls a good partner. And you know what happened? She lost interest. Why? Because female attractiveness doesn't respond to submissive kindness. It responds to structured strength. She doesn't want an emotional butler. She wants a captain. And you, in your eagerness to please, let go of the ship's helm. When the captain abandons command, the crew isn't relieved. They're terrified. And eventually, they jump ship. The inversion you need to understand is simple. The more you tried to be the perfect guy who never disagrees, who never sets boundaries, who never prioritizes his own mission, the more you became exactly the type of man she can no longer respect. And without respect, attraction dies. It's not her cruelty, it's biology and power dynamics. Here's the formula you need to engrave in your mind. Female abandonment is the final symptom of a long process where you lost your frame, abandoned your purpose, and failed to maintain clear boundaries. She didn't leave because you weren't enough. She left because you stopped being yourself. When a man dilutes himself to fit another's expectations, he ceases to be attractive. It's that simple. Now I'm going to show you the 7 exact ways this happens. Pay attention, because you'll recognize yourself in at least 3 of them. First, the erosion of frame. Frame is your internal structure, the reality you establish in the relationship. You are the one who sets the tone, the direction, the standard of mutual respect. When you lose your frame, you start orbiting around her, waiting for her to decide everything, tell you what to do, approve every move you make. Concrete example, you're deciding where to go for dinner. She says it doesn't matter. You suggest 3 places. She dismisses all 3. You ask again what she wants. She says you never decide anything. And you, instead of choosing and leading, get stuck in this dance of validation. Result, you appear weak, indecisive, spineless. She loses confidence in you as the leader of the relationship. And that's pure poison for attraction. When you always give in on important decisions, when you change your mind to avoid conflict, when you ask permission to live your life, you are eroding your own frame. And she feels it. She might not verbalize it, but her body no longer responds to you in the same way. Second, the void of purpose. Every man needs a mission that is greater than the relationship. It could be his career, a project, a sport, a cause, something that defines you, that consumes your energy, that makes you grow. When you abandon that to dedicate yourself entirely to her, you become a satellite. And satellites aren't sexy. They're useful, but disposable. Example, you had a band, practiced martial arts, were building a business. Then you start dating, and little by little, you let everything go. Saturday morning, which used to be for training, turns into an extended breakfast with her. Band practice? Canceled because she wants to watch a series. The project? It gets put off because she needs attention. At first, she even thinks it's cute. But over time, she looks at you and sees a man without his own spark, without passion, without drive. You've become an extension of her, and that kills polarity. She needs to feel that you have a mountain to climb, and that she's by your side as you climb, not that you gave up the mountain to stay at the foot, having an eternal picnic with her. Male purpose isn't optional. It's the fuel for your attractiveness. Without it, you wither. Third, the nice guy syndrome. You do everything for her. You wash the dishes without her asking. You buy flowers every week. You say yes to everything. You avoid any kind of friction. You think you're accumulating points, building a bank account of goodwill that will protect you. Wrong. You're building a prison of unrealistic expectations and putting yourself in the role of an unconditional emotional provider. And you know what happens? She stops valuing it. Because value is linked to scarcity. When you're always available, always doing, always giving in, you become part of the scenery. Example, she comes home stressed from work and takes it out on you. She treats you badly. And you, instead of setting a boundary, make her a special dinner to help her relax. She learns she can disrespect you without consequences. Over time, the disrespect increases, and your attempt to appease only makes it worse. Because you're teaching her that you have no boundaries, that you accept anything, that you need her more than she needs you. And that is repulsive. Kindness without a backbone isn't a virtue. It's disguised weakness. Fourth, failing compliance tests. She tests you. Always. It's not conscious, it's instinctive. She wants to know if you're strong enough to maintain your frame when the pressure mounts. She arrives late without warning. She makes an unfounded jealousy scene. She provokes you with a biting comment. These are tests, and most men fail miserably. Example, you agree to go out at 8. She shows up at 9:30 without apologizing. You, instead of setting a boundary, say it's fine, you were free anyway, and you go out as if nothing happened. What did you just do? You sent the message that her time is more valuable than yours, that you tolerate disrespect, that you have no other options. She registered that. Next time, it will get worse. Or she tests you with jealousy. She mentions a coworker provocatively just to see your reaction. If you freak out, you've shown insecurity. If you completely ignore it and act like you don't care, you've passed. The test isn't about the content, it's about your reaction. She wants to see if you get rattled, if you lose your composure, if you beg for validation. When you fail these tests repeatedly, she concludes that you're not strong enough, and the attraction disappears. Fifth, the loss of perceived scarcity. You're always home, always available. You respond to messages in seconds. You've canceled the gym, soccer with friends, Friday nights at the bar. Your social life is now her, and you think this demonstrates commitment. In reality, it demonstrates dependence. Example, she goes out with her friends on a Friday. You stay home waiting. You text asking how she is. You send a photo of the dinner you made alone. You call to say goodnight. On Saturday, she mentions she's going to a birthday party. You ask if you can come along. She says it's just for friends. You get bothered, a bit sad, and spend Saturday stalking her social media. What does she see in that? A man without a life of his own. A man who orbits around her. And that's not attractive, it's suffocating. Meanwhile, the guy at the gym she sees 3 times a week, who barely responds to messages, who has a packed schedule, who clearly has other priorities, that guy becomes interesting. Because he has perceived scarcity. He has market value. You, always available, have lost that. And value is directly linked to scarcity. Sixth, the absence of firm boundaries. You don't establish clear boundaries. She disrespects you verbally, interrupts you, ignores your needs, invades your personal or emotional space, and you swallow it. Because you're afraid of conflict, afraid of losing her, afraid of being seen as controlling. Example, you're having dinner and she picks up her phone and starts scrolling through Instagram, completely ignoring you. You're annoyed, but you don't say anything. Or worse, you try to get her attention passively aggressively by doing the same thing. She doesn't even notice. Next time, she does it again and again, until it becomes the pattern. What should you have done? Look at her and say, calmly and firmly, turn off your phone or we'll end dinner and each go our separate ways. That's a boundary. It's you communicating that your time and presence have value, and that you don't accept disrespect. But you didn't do that. And now, months later, she no longer listens to you, no longer respects you because you taught her she could. Boundaries are not negotiable. Either you have them, or you get run over. Seventh, male emotional disconnection. You bottle everything up. Frustrations, resentments, hurts. Because men don't cry, men endure, men don't complain. Until you explode at the wrong times, in disproportionate ways. Or worse, you shut down completely, turning into an emotional rock. Example, she does something that bothers you. You don't say anything. She repeats it. You don't say anything. 3 months later, during an argument about dishes, you let it all out. You never respect me. You're ungrateful. You don't value anything I do. She's lost. What are you talking about? Where did this come from? And you realize you're accumulating poison, or the opposite. You become so emotionally controlled that she can no longer read you. She doesn't know what you feel, what you want, who you are, and that creates a void. Emotional authenticity isn't weakness. It's knowing how to express what you feel clearly, directly, and constructively at the right moment, without bottling it up, without exploding, without shutting down. Now let me show you how this happens in real life. Charles, 42, an engineer, married for 15 years, 2 children. He was the model husband. He turned down promotions because they required travel. He gave up cycling because Sunday was sacred for the family. He was always home, always available, always doing. And his wife? She started to distance herself. Less sex, less conversation, more irritation, until she met a coworker, a younger guy, less financially stable, but with a band, with projects, with a life of his own. She filed for divorce. Charles was devastated. "I did everything right," he repeated. "Exactly. You did everything you were told to do, and you lost what made you, you." It cost him half his assets, shared custody of his children, and 3 years of therapy for him to understand where he went wrong. Robert, 35, a businessman. They dated for 3 years. He put her on a pedestal, paid for everything, expensive gifts, trips. He avoided any conflict because he didn't want to be the annoying boyfriend. She could come home late, go out with whomever she wanted. He never questioned it. He thought he was being the evolved, confident guy, until she broke up with him, over the phone. And 2 weeks later, she was with someone else. A guy who earned less, but who challenged her, who set boundaries, who had presence. Robert told me, "I gave her everything. How could she prefer that guy?" Because that guy had what you lost, frame. Frank, 38, a teacher, married 10 years. He felt his wife growing distant. And what did he do? He increased his effort. More household chores, more compliments, more availability. He ignored it when she came home late, without explanation. He ignored it when she stopped having sex. He ignored the tests. Until she dropped the bomb. "I don't feel anything for you anymore. You've become my brother." He was floored. "But I love you," he said. She replied, "I know, but I don't respect you anymore." And she left. Frank lost not only his wife, he lost the respect of his own children, who saw their father beg, cry, grovel. It cost him his self-image as a man. And you know what most of you do when you feel you're losing her? You make the same 5 mistakes that accelerate the end. First, you beg. You send desperate messages, call crying, promise to change, ask for one more chance. And every second you do that, you fall further in her estimation. Because you're communicating total scarcity, desperation, lack of options. You stopped being the prize and became the supplicant. Second, you only blame her. It's her fault. She's crazy. She's toxic. She's no good. And you learn nothing. You go to the next relationship and repeat the exact same patterns. Because it's easier to point the finger than to look in the mirror. Third, you increase your kindness. You think that if you're even nicer, even more helpful, she'll realize her mistake and come back. The result? She loses the last bit of respect she still had. Fourth, you isolate yourselves. You disappear from friends, from family, because you're ashamed. And in doing so, you lose the support network that could rescue you. And fifth, You let yourselves go. You stop working out, taking care of yourselves, working properly. You sink into self-pity. And then, when you finally try to get back on your feet, you realize you've lost valuable months or years. So how do you get out of this? How do you rebuild what was destroyed? Here's the protocol. Step 1. Reaffirm your purpose. Identify now, today, what your life's mission is beyond the relationship. What gets you out of bed besides her? It could be your career, a personal project, health, a legacy. Define that and put energy into it every day. Why? Because a man with purpose is magnetically attractive. He has his own energy. He doesn't need to siphon validation from anyone. And that restores your value in the market and in the relationship. If you're already single, this prepares you for the next one with the right mindset. If you're still together, this can rekindle attraction. But don't do it for her. Do it for yourself. Step 2. Establish clear boundaries. Sit down and write what behaviors you no longer accept from her and from yourself. And communicate this with clarity, calm, and firmness. It's not a threat. It's information. This is the standard. Whoever wants to be here respects it. Whoever doesn't, the door is open. Why? Because without boundaries, there is no respect. And without respect, there is no healthy relationship. And you need to be willing to lose the relationship to establish the boundary. If you're not, she knows, and the boundary won't work. So be honest. Do you prefer a real relationship with respect or an illusion where you're a doormat? Decide. Step 3. Invest in yourself. The gym, health, finances, hobbies, social circle, appearance, everything. Not tomorrow, today. Why? Because you increase your perceived value. You become scarce again. You're no longer the guy who stays home waiting. You're the guy who has a life, who has options, who is busy building something. And that, inevitably, changes the dynamic. She notices, other people notice, and you feel better, stronger, more confident. And confidence is the foundation of everything. Step 4. Master your emotions. Learn to feel what you feel without letting it control you. Anger, feel it. Process it. Act rationally. Sadness, feel it. Process it. Don't bottle it up. Frustration, communicate it in the moment, clearly, without exploding. Why? Because an emotionally unstable man loses respect, but an emotionally disconnected man loses connection. You need balance. Know what you feel, express it when necessary, but don't be a prisoner of your emotions. You're the captain of the ship, remember? A captain doesn't panic in a storm. He feels the fear, processes it, and commands. Step 5. Act with integrity. Be consistent between what you say and what you do. If you said you'd do something, do it. If you established a boundary, maintain it. If you promised yourself you'd change, change. Why? Because integrity generates respect. From her, and more importantly, from yourself. When you respect yourself, when you follow through on what you promised yourself, you build a solid foundation that no one can tear down. And that makes you unshakable. So now you know why women always abandon their husbands isn't a mystery. It's a predictable sequence of behaviors you repeated without realizing it. You let go of the helm. You abandoned your mission. You stopped being the captain. And when the captain abandons the ship, the crew jumps ship. It's not cruelty, it's survival. But here's the good news. You can retake command. Today. Now. Or you can keep doing what you've always done and get the same result. Loneliness, confusion, resentment. The choice is yours. And this choice has an expiration date. Because every day you postpone this decision is another day you reinforce the same destructive patterns. So, comment below. Which of these 7 patterns did you recognize in yourself? Which one will you tackle first? No need for details, just the number. And subscribe to the channel, because in upcoming videos, I'm going to show you how to rebuild your internal structure from scratch, how to create attraction in dead relationships, and how to never put yourself in this position again. The ship is adrift. You return to the helm, or sink with it. Choose now.